Members, let's move to public session now. Mr. Secretary, will you call our speakers?
Magdi Hannah. Geneva Colbert. Antonio Henderson. Ovell Johnson. Paul Roberson. To be followed by Emily Ardoin. Emily Ardoin.
Hi. Hello. Good morning, Mayor Whitmire and members of City Council. My name is Emily Ardoin, and I'm representing Preservation Houston, a local nonprofit that is dedicated to protecting the cultural and architectural heritage of our great city. I want to talk about the Garden Oaks Theater this morning, 1947 movie theater on North Shepherd. The property was recently purchased for redevelopment, including plans to demolish and replace the building. Opening almost 80 years ago and designed by the same architect as the River Oaks Theater, the Garden Oaks was built to anchor its neighborhood. It gave the community a landmark, a gathering place, and a shared sense of identity. When thoughtfully rehabilitated, buildings of this scale can continue serving that role within larger redevelopment efforts. We have several great examples of this in Houston. The River Oaks, Heights, Tower, and Deluxe theaters, which retained their entertainment use, but also the Alabama, which now serves a completely different purpose as a grocery store. While we do have a handful of successes, we've lost far more of these neighborhood theaters. Just in the last year, the Granada Theater on Jensen and its twin, the Capitan in Pasadena, were demolished. In contrast to these two theaters, which had been vacant for a long time, the Garden Oaks is in good, very usable condition and was in continuous use up to its recent sale. It still retains its Art Deco interior with beautiful patterned terrazzo floors, along with lots of other features that deserve to be enjoyed, not added to a landfill. While we don't know the developer's exact plans yet, we've heard it will likely be a shopping center. The Garden Oaks is a shopping center. It includes spaces that originally housed a pharmacy and other retail tenants, so it would be especially well suited for renovation for this use. We're asking for help facilitating a conversation between the property developer, the preservation community, and most importantly, Garden Oaks neighbors. We hope they'll be willing to explore whether there's a path that meets their needs and keeps this landmark standing. Last year, just up the street, the developers of the former Sears site on North Shepherd did sit down with community members and ended up choosing to keep the distinctive concrete pylon and bus shelter on the property, along with the mature tree next to it. This kind of collaboration turns a typical commercial development into a community-supported project that benefits its neighborhood in multiple ways. It also opens up opportunities for preservation incentives, including state and federal historic tax credits, which combined are worth 45% of the qualifying rehab costs, including architect fees and contractor overhead. The River Oaks Theater and St. Elizabeth Hospital both recently took advantage of these tax credits in their rehab projects. We're all for seeing this property redeveloped, but we believe it can be done profitably and successfully while honoring both the history and current desires of Garden Oaks. A couple years ago, we lost a really unique, distinctive mid-century bank building on Washington and Yale for a standard Chick-fil-A. Just a couple months ago in Sherman Oaks, California, a new Chick-fil-A opened inside a fully restored mid-century modern diner. We don't have to lose these buildings in order to progress. Thank you for your, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilmember Kamen.
Thank you. I'll defer first to Councilmember Castillo, and then I'll speak after.
Sure, Councilmember Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember. Thank you for being here today. I know both you and Maureen are here to talk about the theater. And I'm glad you mentioned the Shepherd or the Sears project on Shepherd, because that is a very recent example just down the street of the developer and the community coming together, working together, and finding a way to honor history and preserve part of that development. And I think that's a great example that highlights the willingness of the neighborhood to work with redevelopment and honor the history of the structures. I will say I have heard from the new owner as of this morning. He is willing to meet with the community. We are working on getting that set up so that there is that opportunity to have a dialogue, and I'll continue to be in communication with neighbors on that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, Councilman Kamen.
Thank you. First, Emily, thank you so much for your leadership in everything that Preservation Houston does. We're very grateful, and I appreciate the engagement. I know we have some other residents here to speak on this, but I do want to thank Councilmember Castillo. Again, this is in his district, and I want to be respectful of that. And at the same time, a lot of the residents that are impacted by this also reside in District C. So I'm in communication with Councilmember Castillo. He's taking the lead. He's doing a terrific job. And we would appreciate the support of the city behind us in finding a solution to preserve this while making it from a business sense, economically viable and profitable, because that benefits the entire community.
Absolutely.
Right? So thank you for your time. And again, thank you, Councilmember Castillo, for your leadership on this.
All right.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone, very much for your support.
Thank you. Next.
Maureen McNamara. To be followed by Paul Roberson.
Oh, seem good. Okay. Good morning, Mayor Whitmire, Honorable Mayor Whitmire, and City Council. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak this morning. My name is Maureen McNamara, and I am one of the co-founders and directors of Friends of River Oaks Theater, which now does business as Art House Houston. Art House Houston has expanded our role or attempt to assist with other historic theaters after the huge success that the city, the community, the business community, all of us had at the River Oaks Theater. There are big concerns by both the community and our organizations about the possible loss of the Garden Oaks Theater. It's been, as we all know, it's been a third space for the community for almost 80 years. As a church, as a theater, it's had several lives, but it really has always been a place of community for multiple districts. I wanted to specifically ask Council to and Mayor Whitmire to help support finding a way that the theater can continue to exist and be part of the fabric of our city. I think it can be a win-win, win-win, where the city, the community, the neighboring businesses, and investors in all of the surrounding residential and commercial properties can work together as they did with the River Oaks Theater. Major cities around the country have saved their historic movie theaters as community arts and film centers. They're now protected and thriving jewels for their cities. Michigan has the Michigan and State Theaters, the Tampa Theater in Tampa, the Fox in Atlanta, the Music Box in Chicago, New York, LA, Boston, San Francisco, just reopened the Castro, and Austin Theater Alliance, a 501c3 nonprofit, has raised millions for a full restoration of both the Paramount Theater in Austin and the State Theater. like these theaters, the Garden Oaks is a special space. It's, as Emily pointed out, it's designed by the same architect as the River Oaks Theater. Grace Church was the previous owner of the theater, and they never had the property historically protected or designated by the city, federal government, or importantly, they did not list
Your
the
time has
property for
expired.
sale.
Go ahead.
Art House Houston has been watching the property for years. Days ago, we learned that the new owners have the intention not to save the historic theater, and there's a green tag on the building that reads demo okay. We need to win over the new owners, help show them the benefits of saving the theater. And we believe that there is still hope.
Very well. Councilman Castillo.
Thank you, Mayor Maureen. Thank you for being here. I know you have been very engaged around this lately, and I appreciate your communication and giving me a lot of background and history in the work that you've done in this space across the city. You do have my support and my commitment, and I will be in communication with you around this this meeting that we're working on getting set up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman. And thank you,
Councilman
Sally. And
Maureen, it's so good to see you at council, though I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. For those that don't know some of the background, Friends of River Oaks Theater, which Maureen and others really spearheaded, I mean, when the theater shut down and it was at risk of being torn down, they would have community theater nights projecting on the wall. They were engaged every single step, not antagonistically, but in celebrating and lifting up the history and how much this theater means to Houston. So to see you engaged on this, it warms my heart because, again, I know y'all are coming from a place not of, again, hostility, but solutions-oriented. And the way in which we were able to save River Oaks Theater was in large part because of the community groundswell of support for this and the administration support and the work behind the scenes to find developers. Everyone came together to find a solution that now, lo and behold, I mean, can you imagine? I could not have imagined how much better River Oaks Theater is now than what it was. So thank you to all your work. And I say this because we've had two experts that are so involved in the community coming before us, and I'm excited to see what happens next. And Councilmember Castillo, again, we're in close communication. I'll continue to support in any way that I can and have full confidence in his engagement on this right now.
thank you, Councilman Abby Kamen. I just wanted to say that there are almost 2,000 signatures on a petition that just went up with comments, public comments from the community that I hope you guys will all take to heart. And we need the support of the entire council. Thank you very much, Councilwoman at large as well.
Mr. Robertson.
And there's a procedural from Huffman. We can do her procedural real quick while we're waiting for her.
No.
Good morning. As protocol has already been established, I rose to talk about the issue that I'm having with the Boy Scouts of America Class A lawsuit that's been brought, and the survivors are governed to the state in which this the incident occurred. Well, my major problem is that the law firm has altered the penal code that structures what assault abuse is. Now, it's listed in the questionnaire, but it's wrong. It left out the section that says Texas recognizes certain incidents within a child abuse case that moves it from abuse to assault. And the statute of limitation with this revisement does not run out. But they want this statement within the questionnaire makes it where the amount of money that comes to the survivor is less than half. And that money will be used or utilized by Texans in this economy, and they're taking it out of our economy and using it for the law firm's good, and they're going to be profiting from it. And it's not right. And it says clearly that anything that's untrue that's put in this document is penalty under perjury. So I would hope that applies to them as well, because it's clearly stated. And I did the research myself to see what the penal code says. But right where the section is where it tells, it's omitted. It has section 1, and it has A, B, C, and D. It tells what the number section is, 2 point something, and then after that, they leave off A or B or C, which one? They leave it off. And then when they go back to them and challenge them on it, it's a problem, and they're full of denial, and they don't want you to challenge them on what's true. So I went to the state of Texas the Attorney General office, no help. I went to Dan Crenshaw, no help. I went to Crockett, no help. I mean, no answer either. So I didn't know what else to do but come to the council and appeal, because they're taking the money from the survivors that we're going to use in the state of Texas. I know I'm going to use mine in the city of Houston, but then we won't even get it. The amount that they offer is so much less than it would be if they follow the penal code and what they say they're going to govern their decisions on.
Mr. Robinson, I'm sorry about your difficulty. I would advise you to listen to your attorney. The city has no jurisdiction over that legal matter, so please listen.
I mean, I just had a chance because the attorney...
No, we appreciate you being here, but your best pathway is listen to your attorney.
They're out for themselves. I mean, I can listen to him, but he's saying that he wants to take the money that's due me and the other survivors of Texas and use it for their own good.
Okay.
Sir.
Sir, Ms. Robertson. Councilor Ramirez.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Roberson, I appreciate your comments, and you do have an attorney, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll sit down with you after the meeting if you can wait around. But the penal code and the code under which the class action lawsuit would be brought are different. So I'm not completely understanding what you're saying.
I know it's very difficult for me to explain it because it's legal terms that I've been trying to...
But I'll sit down with you if you wait till after the meeting.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Next. Councilmember Huffman on procedural.
Thank you. I'd like to make a procedural motion to add Gloria Nino to the bottom of the 3-minute non-agenda list.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor say yes. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Michelle Bouchard, to be followed by Barbara Denson.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, council members. I'm in Councilman Kamen's District C, and I'm here to ask you please support HPD in its interactions with ICE. Local law enforcement officers are the backbone of public safety in our city, and they are the front lines to catching hardened, repeat offenders, sometimes catching those violent offenders starts with a single routine traffic stop, where a broken taillight leads to the discovery of a warrant for serious, unspeakable crimes. Law enforcement officers are telling us that any ordinance to completely redefine how they police the streets will hurt them. Do we really want to weaken our city's public safety, especially at a time when we see other cities around the country up in flames? You've heard a great deal from the other point of view. I am here to voice the views of thousands of Houstonians who you have not yet heard from. Houston has not yet seen the dangerous interactions involved with apprehending illegal aliens in the community, nor the violence and the rioting that other cities have seen. The process of removing illegal aliens has largely gone unnoticed, in spite of the fact that the local ICE office has removed as many aliens here as any other office in the country. If it's not broken, don't try to fix it. There have been 15,000 deportations originating from Houston ICE office. This office includes Harris County and the surrounding counties. Of those 15,000, 2/3 have originated from the jails, where the person was already in jail on another offense. And when HPD enters a name into the computer, if a warrant appears, that agency is contacted, whether that's another state, county, city, or federal government. HPD had 160 ICE warrants appear in 2025, and ICE was subsequently contacted for each of those. ICE advised HPD to release 90 of those, and the other 70 were picked up by ICE. Therefore, of the 15,000 deportations, only 0.47% of the total was initiated by HPD. So now you see the scale, which is small. We do not know what crimes were committed by the 70. It could have been merely immigration violation or a violent crime. HPD is simply treating ICE warrants in the same manner they treat any other warrant. The city of Houston does not need the attention other municipalities are receiving after confronting ICE. So I beg you, please, do not upend the ability of our local law enforcement agency to interact with other law enforcement agency, because it would cripple our officers' abilities to police the streets. So thank you so much.
Councilman Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Michelle, and thank you, Mayor. In your numbers that you recorded, does your numbers include other law enforcement other than HPD?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I did not look at that. I apologize. Yeah.
Okay. But your point is that you are not in support of the fact that there are some people who may be stopped of violations by HPD, and those numbers that relatively could be considered not very heinous or high crimes. But your concern is, if I understand it correctly, is that you don't feel as though it's right to impede HPD's process.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. And
to impede the process and not allow them to contact ICE, right?
Okay.
Because that's been proposed at various times, I think.
Right. And so with that, good. So I just wanted to address the fact that in doing that, HPD is following the very same procedure as the Sheriff Department and the constables and others. Okay.
Yes, they're following their protocol, as I understand it.
Very
sir.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Thanks.
Barbara Denson.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Denson. Only in government do we look at something that isn't broken and decide the best course of action is to fix it. Houston has not experienced the dangerous confrontations, riots, or high-profile clashes with ICE that other cities have seen. We haven't had the chaos, the headlines, or the lawsuits. Why? Because the process here has been quiet, orderly, and frankly, quite boring. Boring is great when it comes to public safety. Our local ICE office has removed 15,000 individuals, placing Houston among the highest performing offices in the country. And yet, most Houstonians couldn't tell you a single story about it. That's how smoothly the system works for now. Here's the part that really matters. 2/3 of those 15,000 removals came straight from the jails, people who were already arrested for other offenses. These aren't random street encounters. These were individuals already in custody for breaking laws in our community. What about HPD? Of those 15,000 removals, less than 0.1% were initiated by HPD officers in the field, 70 cases out of 15,000. And even then, HPD didn't go hunting for anyone. Officers simply entered a name into the system, and when a warrant popped up, they did what they always do. They notified the agency that issued it. In 2025, HPD encountered 160 ICE warrants. ICE itself told HPD to release 90 of these individuals. The remaining 70 were picked up by ICE. We don't know whether those warrants were for immigration violations or violent crimes, and frankly, neither do the officers on the street. That's why warrants exist, to let law enforcement know that someone, somewhere, has unfinished business with the law. HPD is not doing anything unusual or extreme. They're treating ICE warrants exactly the same way they treat every other warrant. That's consistency. That's professionalism. And it's one of the reasons Houston has avoided the horrific national spotlight that other cities have stumbled into. Now let's talk about consequences. Houston and Harris County have received $500 million in federal and state funding. That money supports the very services we rely on: public safety, disaster response, infrastructure, and more. Picking a fight with the federal government over a process that's working smoothly would be not real smart. Houston has a system that works. It's calm, it's orderly, it's effective, and it keeps us out of the headlines for all the right reasons. Before we rush to fix something, let's make sure it's actually broken. In this case, it isn't. So let's not fix it. Thank you.
Next.
Hugo Chavaria. Rebecca Broom.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and all the members of the City Council. Thank you for sharing your time with us this morning. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, all members of the City Council, for sharing your time with us this morning. It's long been known that when humans are trafficked across the southern border, the women are frequently raped, anywhere, I've heard estimates from 30% to 100%. When that happens, their clothing is thrown up into a tree sometimes. That tree is called a rape tree. I live in southwest Houston. Not very long ago, I was driving through my neighborhood at the intersection of Renwick and Holly, 3 blocks from my house. There was a dress hanging there the first day. I noticed there was another dress down close to the intersection of Gulfton and Renwick. And I thought about it for a day or so, and then I went back, pulled in, and I took those dresses down. Those were rape tree dresses. Then 2 days later, there were 2 more dresses hanging at Holly and Renwick. These are the dresses that we're talking about. I got the second set of dresses also. Each time I picked up these dresses, I put them through my washing machine and my dryer, and I hung them respectfully in my closet, because these dresses belong to young women who were raped, in my opinion. I called HPD non-emergency number. I called 2 or 3 different substations before we ascertained who was who had jurisdiction. I called sex crimes. I called Vice. I called Harris County. I called the Bel Air Police Department, which is about 35 feet away in terms of jurisdiction from where these dresses were hung. And not in any of those, not in any one of those, did I find anybody that actually knew what a rape tree was among the people who answered the phone. So I also talked to the man who was elected our constable. He didn't know what one was. I talked to one of the other candidates who is not elected for sheriff, and he didn't know what one was. So what we have here is a real absence of any way in HPD to deal with this thing that is in front of us, and it's going to grow worse. What I want us to do is not to make HPD ICE. I want a cooperation between HPD and ICE. And if we do that, there's some specific benefits that will arise. So, and I'm sure you can guess what those are. Thank you very much for your time.
No question.
Thank you. Next.
Oh, this is for you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
How can I?
Give it to Louis, that gentleman in the blue suit right there.
Gilda Bayegan.
Louis, I don't need it right now. Thank you.
To be followed by James Shriver.
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hello.
Mary Nan Huffman, our District G Councilwoman. Council. My name is Gilda Bygon. I am a precinct chair, and I'm on the Civic Association of West Lane Place. I'm a precinct chair in 178. I'm one person here, but we're about 2,000 people in the groups that I represent, and they cannot be here today because they're working. I'm here because we have heard a terrible rumor at this point that you're considering interfering with Houston Police Department when they try to contact ICE because they've apprehended someone with a warrant. And I want you to know we're horrified. Everyone in my district is horrified. Not one person supports this idea. We need more police. We need them to be able to do their jobs. I cannot understand the reasoning behind this idea. I mean, are you trying to turn Houston into Minneapolis? Can we not see what happens when we don't cooperate with federal government? When we don't try to bring criminals in, they prey on the rest of us. What are you guys thinking about? So I'm here to urge you, please do not go down this path. Do not take us to the road to Minneapolis. Please, Houston does not want to do this. Again, I'm one person, but there are 2,000 people who I represent. None of us want you to do this. And Mr. Mayor, I have this for you, too. It's unrelated. Thank you. Any questions, anybody?
Yes, Councilmember Salinas.
Thank you so much for coming to speak to council. If I may ask you a question and respond to a statement you made.
Sure.
What is the rumor that you're hearing, and who are you hearing it from?
Well, I can't say exactly where it originated because a lot of people are talking about it, but we've heard the City Council is contemplating interfering with HPD, notifying ICE when they stop someone with a warrant from ICE, and also we've heard that you're contemplating not allowing HPD to stop cars for non-moving violations like a taillight out. And from what we understand, that's one of the ways that HPD, one of the tools they use to find the criminals that they need to bring in.
Well, I certainly can't speak for all of my colleagues, but your first rumor is not prohibited by state law. SB 4 says we cannot prevent an officer from calling ICE. We can't under state law. So I'm not aware of it. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I don't think there's any merit to that rumor because under state law, we are prohibited from telling an officer they cannot call ICE. So I hope you can help me in addressing that misinformation because it's simply not true.
And what about the tail light? The not being able to stop for a non-moving violation. Is that also an unfounded rumor?
Well, as you and everyone in this chamber knows, there's a lot of public support and organizations, and an ordinance has been suggested to council. I'm sure that is being considered by folks, but all of the legal concerns, I think, are being given serious and thoughtful merit. But we all understand that we have to follow the rule of law and make sure that we comply with in all respect. And I'm sure myself, and I don't mean to speak for my colleagues, will do everything in our power to follow the law in that respect as well.
Well, I'm delighted to hear it was an unfounded rumor that we wouldn't cooperate with ICE, but I would remind everyone here of the demonstration I'm aware that was here recently, people who became very heated in their position about not stopping for non-moving violations, but I'm reminding you, I'm here representing 2,000 people who are busy at work, who cannot come, but they vote, and they do not want this to go into effect.
I appreciate you coming and taking the time, but please, can you help me address that misinformation?
Yes, I will tell everyone who asks me and those who don't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Carter?
What?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming down, Gilda. Certainly, you all do represent an unheard voice. And thank you for coming and addressing us in a respectful way and not cursing and screaming and carrying on and trying to get your point across. As far as rumors and such, we all know that HPOU has had a concern with the fact that this council would attempt to police law enforcement in requesting that they may not stop public safety related violators. I spent about an hour with some individuals in human trafficking as well as leadership from the airport system yesterday. And, HPD, I'm sure, can verify it for you, but certainly human trafficking, the lady who spoke before you talked about the rape trees and that. Certainly on the human trafficking side, there is evidence that shows that individuals are found by traffic stops, people who are being trafficked, traffickers. So, for this body to consider and impact HPD's ability to do their job is exactly what you've heard, and that is something that has been considered to just open for discussion. And as you know, people have come before us to speak against HPD stopping for non-safety related violations. But I guess, how do you define public safety, and how do you define what exactly in your eyes versus HPD's eyes, because they're actually the trained professional and we're not, what is public safety related and what isn't? So therein lies the problem.
Councilwoman, I would say that we need more HPD eyes out there. And I would remind council that the group that came with me represents the West U area, represents the Energy Corridor, represents my area around Afton Oaks, River Oaks area, represents Chimney Rock, and what is that? What is the town over there? Sharpstown. So, we are a big group of people, and we all want the police to be able to do their jobs. We don't want you to interfere with that, please. Please.
Councilmember Kamen.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to thank you mentioned the group that came today. Do y'all represent an official group? I understand you represent different neighborhoods, and I really want to thank you all for the dialogue, the respect, the conversation. But first question, do y'all represent an official group?
No.
Okay.
We are all grassroots people who just represent our constituents
areas.
in our areas.
Absolutely. And again, I appreciate the dialogue around public service, because one of my positions, which I've made very clear, is law enforcement needs to do the law of local law enforcement, which is preventing and solving crime, not acting as federal immigration agents, which is the job of federal immigration agents. We don't have, as you said, we need more officers. We do not have the resources to be doing the job of somebody else right now. But at the same time, I want to caution us. A woman came forward talking about sexual assault victims and rape victims, and tying that to immigration enforcement and human trafficking and sex trafficking, absolutely. But those individuals are victims and survivors, not the criminals. And to assume or to infer that all rapists are immigrants, that's the problem. Well, let's look at the crime statistics in terms of rapists, abusers, domestic violence, et cetera. At the same time, when we say that law enforcement, what's happening right now with the tension that we are seeing, not just throughout this country, but here in Houston, is domestic violence survivors are afraid to go and testify. Witnesses to crimes are afraid to go and testify. We cannot hold criminals accountable when others are being forced into the shadows. And I'm sorry, but an 18-year-old high school student about to graduate who plays soccer in his school who has been detained by ICE for months, or thousands of children, thousands, that are not showing up to school because they and their families are afraid and they can't get the education that they need. There is a deeper issue here that we have to talk about in terms of protecting residents. So again, I support HPD. I think they have been put in a terrible position. When we talk about warrants, we need to have a much more nuanced conversation about the distinction between administrative warrants and criminal warrants. They're very different. And the mother that is just trying to get by to support her children is not where our resources, again, when we're talking about fighting violent crime and crime in general and protecting our neighborhoods. So I want to make sure, again, this is a very complex issue. Our immigration system is broken, but it is not our children and our students who are being victimized by this that should be the targets of this right now. And I want to make sure that that's also brought into the conversation, because I think it is important as we talk about, you all represent so importantly your neighborhoods and residents that I speak to every day. I have District C residents here, and I appreciate you coming and spending your time. And we have a lot of other residents too that are being impacted by this in other ways. And I want to make sure that we're representing all of those perspectives as we try to find a way forward, because there are people that are hurting. Thank you.
May I respond?
Absolutely.
I believe you're talking about Rebecca Brune, who had the dresses that she brought up here, and I know Rebecca because we've done things in the past. We're not a formal group, but I know her, and she didn't have time to complete her story because her 3 minutes was up. But she is not conflating immigrants with crime. That incident happened to be in an area, as I understand it, that was gang. It was a gang, and it was not Americans. It was un-American gangs. So she is not inventing criminality for immigrants. And as far as HPD keeping their business local, if there's a warrant out there for someone that they've apprehended, I think it's part of their business to keep that person out off the streets. If they have a warrant, we don't know what it's for. They don't know what it's for. That's part of their local business.
When we talk about warrant, and again, thank you. I don't want to, again, I'm listening right now, but I do want us to be very careful when we talk about warrants, because we do know the distinction between certain types of warrants. And again, when you talk about administrative warrants, that's a very different category that HPD does know. And again, look, you can ask pretty much any one of us around this horseshoe how frequently we are on the phone with HPD and the leaders of HPD talking through this issue. How can we be more supportive of the department? What resources do they need? And how do we work through this together? So it's not coming from a place of antagonism, but these are highly complex issues, and there are people suffering because of it.
But if I understand correctly, HPD can't even distinguish what kind of warrant it is. It's just a warrant, right?
They can distinguish between certain types.
Yeah.
Thank you. Council Member Evan Shabazz.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you so much for coming down. This is a very complex issue. But I want to ask you, do you see how people are being treated by ICE? Do you see that people are being murdered and just being terribly mistreated?
I have seen news, of course, like everyone. I've seen
everybody
news.
in here has seen it.
I've seen the news. I would say that it wasn't that the reason those people in Minneapolis got shot was the local leadership of Minneapolis doing the kinds of things that, from what I understood, you guys were trying to start here, which is stirring up the populace to create confrontations.
Okay. Certainly, we do not want to put our citizenship in danger. But I think if we were assured that ICE would treat people humanely and they wouldn't murder them, we may have a different outlook. But certainly, it gives me pause, and I don't have the answer. But safety traffic stops was something that was actually started to stop some of these interactions with African Americans. It was not just about ICE. And so cooperating is one thing, but sending people into situations that are destroying their families, may end up in being murdered, killed, put in these inhumane situations, really disturbs me. And so I guess I'm kind of thinking, you know, with all the things we have going on in the city of Houston, I would think our police officers would really rather not be put in a position to be enforcement officers for immigration. And so it just disturbs me that we are here trying to determine how to handle this humanely. And we're in a tough position here because we don't want any human being, regardless of where they come from or why they ended up here, to end up in a situation that could lead to them being killed, murdered, or put in close confines where they are treated inhumanely. Now, that's just my position. I'm not speaking for everybody up here, but it just kind of gives me pause, you know, when people come and they, well, we don't want them here either. And we don't want to stir the pot, as they say. But I also don't want to see people treated like worse than animals. Because, you know, we come out to talk about barking animals. Let's help these dogs. Let's help these cats. And I love animals, so don't get me wrong. But what about the people, the human beings that are here, that some of them are running from situations where their lives are in danger? What do we do about that?
Councilwoman, I in my life have been stopped for a tail light that's out, and I've never been mistaken for being an African American. So I cannot agree with you that that law was directed toward African Americans or any particular group. It's a tool police use, maybe, like I assume in my case, to let me know my taillight wasn't working. And maybe if when they stopped me, if they had discovered something that they needed to investigate, maybe it would have led to more.
I could almost assure you that if you got stopped for a taillight, they didn't tell you to get out of your car, put your hands on the car, and treat you like a criminal. I could be wrong because I wasn't there.
No, I had to show my ID. I had to show my ID and insurance.
I don't know if they would do that to me. Okay, and I'm African American, but I do know that it happens. I do know that it happens.
I don't think that's a target.
And because it happens, we're in a very complex position here to make a determination as to how we want human beings to be treated. We want them to be treated better than animals. And animals are treated, we will come out in droves about animals. I'm going to be there too. I love animals, but I love people as well. And we're in a tough space here. And I just can't say that we shouldn't do anything just because they may show up anyway. The way this is going may decide we have a Democratic city and a Democratic mayor, and we're just going to come down here. And they outnumber HPD when they come. So we're just going to agree to disagree because we're going to just move on. But pray for us because we have a hard decision up here. It's just not, what is it? What do I always say? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's very difficult to determine that we're okay with people being turned over and put into somewhat concentration camps
I'm wondering,
and mistreated.
Have there been any people in ICE custody to die in Houston? I'm unaware.
But we don't have to wait on a statistic for someone to be killed to determine whether there's a problem. We are seeing it on TV daily.
Well,
and some of them look like you that are being murdered.
Okay.
So let's not forget that as well.
Next, Councilman Huffman.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Baigon, for coming forward today. I think a lot of people agree with you that, public safety is extremely important. And I know that not all law enforcement agencies are created equal, but I've seen firsthand the training that HPD goes through. They police with compassion. We have a great department, and I pledge to do whatever I can to support HPD. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Flickinger.
Thank you for coming down here. And kind of just wanted to confirm what I think the gist of what y'all are saying is, and this kind of goes to Councilman Shabazz's point. Certainly there's been 2 people killed up in Minneapolis by ICE, and we saw that. And I think y'all's point is that with the fact that ICE is apprehending the people while they're in the jails, already in custody, that is 2/3, according to the Chronicle and the New York Times, 2/3 of the people that have been deported, that's an orderly way to do it and doesn't put people in danger, whether it be the people that are here illegally or whether it's any other public. Is that what y'all are trying to say?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councilor Kamen.
No, I wanted to add, it's been more than 2 people shot and killed in this country because of ICE right now. And there are civil liberties and civil rights that are being violated. And that is not, again, HPD. That is not a reflection of HPD. That is a reflection of untrained immigration enforcement. That's why we have such high standards with HPD when it comes to their training, when it comes to their interaction with the people of Houston. But Councilmember Evans Schwaz, I appreciate your comments, and I just want to say that I see you. The experience of Black Americans, Black mothers having to have the talk with their children. Now we have Hispanic and Latino families that have to have the talk with their children. And we have, and it's not just Hispanic and Latino. We have people that have served our military and supported our military in Afghanistan who are here, that are now either being sent back or their families are being sent back. But when we talk about the involvement with ICE, I want to be very clear, it's not just the interaction with law enforcement, it is the detention centers. People are dying in the detention centers. Children have worms in their food. This is being reported. This is factual. Women are being put into diapers because they are not able to use the restroom. The conditions are inhumane. So we do have an obligation to continue this conversation. And we do, again, I want to thank our residents because you all are speaking through a lens of public safety that is important in terms of local law enforcement. But this is an issue far beyond just that. And it calls upon each and every one of us to speak from our humanity and our conscience and our ethics as Americans and what we stand for in this country as well.
Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been insightful to hear from the public as well as my colleagues on your thoughts on this issue. I think what we all want to see here in Houston, which is the most diverse city in America, and that diversity is built on the immigrant community that we have here. 1 out of 4 people in Houston are foreign-born, is to ensure that the conversation stays on what it was intended to be about when it comes to federal agents in cities, and that is to focus on dangerous, violent criminals, okay? And I think all of us on this horseshoe and everyone in the public would agree with going after dangerous, violent criminals is something that we would support. Whether you're here legally or illegally, law enforcement should be focused on dangerous, violent criminals. Now, you said and others that HPD is spread thin. We need more officers. Mm-hmm. I agree with you that we need to do all we can to be more efficient with the officers that we have. And so the stance would be, let's focus on going after the dangerous, violent criminals and not looking at some of these low-hanging, non-moving traffic stops, because many times that's taking officers off the street to do minor incidents, citable infractions, when we can be focused on more dangerous, serious criminal activity. The ICE agents that are here in our city, there's nothing that a local law enforcement or this body can stop them from doing. What my stance would be is to only focus on the dangerous, violent criminals and the dangerous, violent activity that is out there. Anything else, HPD has so many other local needs to address that there's no reason to do anything to aid ICE in their own investigations or their own actions. HPD should be focused on the local laws and the things that affect Houstonians on a day-to-day. When you come forward and you say that, HPD is only doing less than 1% of the calls to ICE on issues regarding interactions with the public, that may be well and said, but people are still very fearful in my community, which is Southwest Houston, of ICE being prevalent throughout the city. And so what we want to do is bring some calm to them and to lessen their apprehension by saying that we should only be focused on the dangerous, violent criminals. That's what the White House said initially. That's what everyone anticipated when they were seeing that ICE was coming into cities. But what we're seeing around the country, and even sometimes here in Houston, is that there are very dangerous and inhumane type of interactions between ICE and the community. And many times it is with people who don't have a violent criminal history. And when people are being engaged or they're having to go through these interactions with ICE and they have no violent criminal history, that's when people start to have issues. And we have to find that balance of how are we able to keep communities safe and ensure that HPD has all the tools that they need to keep people safe, but at the same time not tearing up communities by focusing on people who have not done anything to bring harm to our society or to the city of Houston, but are productive, contributing residents. And I think if we focus on the dangerous, violent criminals and not put any focus on those who are not bringing harm to our community, you will see much more calm, not only in this city, but in cities all over the country. And I think that is the goal that we should be aiming for.
Councilman, I appreciate your comment, and I would like to add somehow in the post-discussion, we're being kind of drawn as people who are anti-immigrants, and that is not the case. I happen to be married to an immigrant. This is not about people who object to having newcomers in our community. It's about public safety, and we don't want to do anything that prevents HPD from protecting the community.
And would you agree that the focus should be on the dangerous, violent criminals? That should be a law enforcement's focus?
No, I don't think HPD should have to discriminate. If they come across someone with a warrant that's an outstanding warrant, they should just respond to the warrant and not have to decide if it's a warrant they should respond to or not.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Councilman Carter.
Just one last comment. We've gone around, everybody's weighed in, or many have weighed in on comments and such. And we've all agreed that HPD is a stellar law enforcement unit, but we keep comparing to what's going on in other cities and around the nation. We're in Houston, and we're talking about HPD. And so if we respect that HPD is doing a good job in working with other law enforcement agencies, that is the entire point. We let them do their jobs. And, we talk back and forth, but, yes, it's unfortunate that people have died, but not in this city.
Right.
We're not comparing ourselves. Why do we need to compare Houston to other cities? And part of the problem and part of the fear factor out there is because it keeps coming back. Well, what happened in Minneapolis? You see on the news, they're showing Minneapolis and talking about Houston. And so we have a safe city. The mayor's, focus on public safety. Everyone around this horseshoe is focused on public safety. So why not let Houston stand alone as a stellar example of what we can do when we work together and not work against each other and against other law enforcement agencies, and quit comparing ourselves to cities where, oh, this happened over here. Well, I'm sorry that happened, but that's not my city. Let's keep our city safe, and that's the stance. I too will support HPD. Thank you.
Councilmember Evan Shabazz.
Thank you, Mayor. And just for the record, I fully support HPD. I fully support, but this is not what we're talking about here. Now, you say you have a group of 2,000, and I'm sure that...
Not with me today.
No. Well, I kind of figured that. Thank you for that, right? Because I'd hate for 2,000 people to get up and speak. But certainly, I'm sure that there are groups that believe just as you do in other cities. So why is it you all don't get that group together and go to D.C. and talk to the person in the White House or whatever to tell them to be humane with people, to tell them to take those masks off, tell them to get adequate training? Do you have a group ready to do that? Because I'll take that ride. But certainly that is the problem here. It's not HPD. It's the persons that are coming as masked men, women maybe, and they are, I mean, because normally you see somebody in a mask and it's not COVID, they come in to rob or do some harm. And so have you taken that stance to go where the real impetus of this problem is?
Councilwoman, if it were my group, I would not be asking the ICE agents to take off their masks because they're wearing them to protect their identities from harm, because their families have been threatened, they've been followed, they've been harassed in their private lives. They have to wear those masks in order to live in the community.
HPD officers sometimes face those same problems, and they don't come to you with a mask.
Well, I would submit that we don't have national media down the necks of HPD
but we
officers.
Have HPD, we have officers in every city, ma'am.
Hey.
Thank you.
Councilmember Pollard.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to end with this. So I represent a district with a lot of these issues that are taking place, and a lot of times it's not on the media and it's not in your face. But one incident that did happen right here in Houston, there was a man taking his son to school one morning. He was a resident of my district. He's been in the city of Houston for almost 30 years. He has 2 daughters, both for college graduates here. He has a son that attends a high school in the Alief area. He was taking his son to school, and from what the reports have shown and the videos have shown, unmarked ICE agents, not in uniform, converged on his car with his young son. They were fearful, and because of the circumstances of being scared, they ran. The son is a U.S. citizen. The father is not. They get caught at a local store. ICE agents, from what the video has shown, tackles them, body slams them, beats them up. The father is, I believe, deported maybe that day or the next day, very soon after. The mother, his wife, still resides in my district. The 2 daughters with the college degrees reside in my district. The son, the high school student, U.S. citizen, resides in my district. Their father is gone. I was told that he had a DWI 10 years ago, but nothing else on his criminal history. That story impacted me because I thought that the intent was to go after the dangerous, violent criminals. They have a home in a neighborhood. He worked in construction. They were maybe undocumented, but they were an American family. Their family is now torn apart. The breadwinner is gone. The wife has no income. The family, the children are now trying to find a way to keep everything going. That family did not really do anything, by all accounts, to bring harm or danger to our city. They were contributing residents of the city. And when that family gets torn apart, because of status, I think it weakens our city. And so the balance that we have to find here, and why some people are fearful and why some people are apprehensive, is how do we protect those who've been in the city for a long time, who've contributed to the city, who aren't bringing harm to the city, who have family in the city, and put the focus on those who are creating harm and danger and fear. And that is what Houston is all about. You can't be the most diverse city in America and be the most welcoming city in America and not be able to differentiate between the two, okay? And I think that is what we are trying to figure out. And I think that's the balance that HPD is trying to figure out. And I, too, like my colleagues, support HPD in their efforts in keeping our city safe. But we do have a different dynamic here in Houston that we have to recognize and appreciate, that some people have been here for a long time, and they have contributed in a major way, and they have families, and they have lives. And we don't want to tear those families up if it's proven that they're not bringing any harm to our city. And I think when we spend resources and time to do that, or to aid in any way with the federal agents in doing that, that too weakens our city. And so we have to find a way to address that. And your concerns are valid, and your perspective is valid, and you want to have a very safe city and a safe community, as do I. And so that is our charge and our challenge. And I think that we have to find that balance. And I think HPD in the city has done well in that balance. But there are still instances, as the one that I have brought up, that directly impacts my community that I represent, that I think we have to do a better job at as well. Thank you.
May I respond to that?
No, thank you.
I cannot respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I mentioned I'm married to an immigrant. My husband came here legally. He was a student. When his hours dropped 1 hour below what was full-time student status, immigration came and questioned him why. And before he became a citizen, he had to study our system. He had to swear he had never been a communist, and he had to take the oath to this country and relinquish his allegiance to any other government. And so he is a functioning immigrant who has contributed a lot. And for your constituent who was arrested, I would say that's a very sad story. I'm sorry he didn't go through that process himself and become a fully legal citizen. But we're not here as a referendum on ICE, as I understand it. We're here to discuss how we tell HPD to do its job. And I am here, and my constituents just want you not to interfere with HPD. Let them do their jobs.
Next.
Thank you.
Okay, finished? Can I go back? Okay, thank you.
James Shriver. Eduardo Duran. Steve Williams. Gloria Nino. To be followed by Ely Montoya Rivas.
Good morning, everyone. I want to address the City Council here. I own a rental property in the City of Houston, but I cannot vote in the City of Houston because I am a West University resident. And but crime has just gone out of control. And I do work in Houston. And I feel that common sense has just been thrown out the window. And I implore on everybody on the City Council to do a better job in that regard. You know, when laws are broken, they're broken, period. End of story. People should not have to go through hoops to say, well, how illegal are you, and are you illegal, and are you a criminal, and are you a whatever, or do you have a warrant for your arrest or whatever. I strongly believe that stopping somebody for a taillight that's out does help address people that do have warrants for their arrest. Something so simple like that. Why shouldn't they be stopped? It's illegal, right? It's illegal to be driving around without tail lights or without lights on or a paper illegal license plate only for people to commit crime because those license plates have been bought on Amazon or wherever the hell they buy them. And then they commit crime and then you can't track them. So if they're doing that, they should be stopped. We have a Chilean illegal person who was caught in the city of West University for breaking into a home. And unfortunately for West University residents and Bel Air residents and all the other municipalities around the city, those criminals are brought into the city jail, and then nothing happens. It's really a shame. You know, Houston is a major hub for human trafficking, and yet it's done openly. I'm involved with so many of these organizations right now with the human trafficking that happens here in Houston, and nothing's done about it. It just amazes me that this can continue and continue and continue, and now to possibly prevent HPD, who I so respect what they do. They have a tough job, but to handcuff them in not stopping people with a broken tail light or paper plates that are not legal or whatever, they should be stopped. And then if they're criminals, they should be arrested, and then the process should continue. Common sense.
Illy Montoya Rivas. Joseph Amari.
Happy Black History Month. My company, Black History Month fundraising projects and events of my company, Chiefy Project. Of course, I want the advance to have a deposit of 10% if you're willing to pay for it. I would like to get your nonprofit organization, a for-profit organization, to tell you a deal. A black lecturer from the North was on YouTube spouting that we don't need Black History Month because we elected Barack Obama as president and white people oppose it. I disagree with him because Black History Month not only educate us about Black history, it also has a tremendous economic impact throughout America because of all the stuff we buy and sell and events we go. Black History Month, maybe that's one of the reasons that the New Black and Black American Underground Party opposes. They don't like us making money. Carter Woodson gave us Black History Month in 1928 before we had any black elected official at the NAACP. Even in the more racist, segregated South, the white people did not mind Black History Month or Black History Week.
Your time has expired.
Mr. Amari, your time has expired.
Of Black History Month.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Amari.
Discriminated and integrated South white people didn't have any problem with Black History Month. The Black History Month is always needed. They always wanted to celebrate Black History Month. What we don't need is political leadership that opposes Black
Thank
History
you for being here,
Month
Mr. Amari. We appreciate you. Thank you. Colleagues, we do have some items that are in that we are going to go back to.